Earlier this week, 21-year-old Yoo Jun-young went missing after attending a matchmaking party with a group of friends. She was last reported as being seen dancing within XXX Club, however friends and family have not been able to contact her since that night. If anyone has any information that may be able to assist the police, please contact our anonymous tip line.
Sangwoo snapped off the radio, throwing the kitchen into a tense silence. Bum had paused as soon as he heard Jun-young's name. He was elbow deep in dirty dishes, and as soon as Sangwoo started to turn around, he quickly returned to his work. He could feel the tall man's eyes bore into the back of his head. Bum mistakenly thought that he could listen to another station while Sangwoo ran to the store for snacks and drinks. He hadn't heard him come back inside, mainly because hearing the name of the missing girl locked away in the basement shook him to his core. You don't need to listen to this trash. Don't you like the station I left on? Bum paused again, mind racing on how to answer Sangwoo's question. I was just trying to find a song. Sangwoo stood at his side. His dark eyes looked down at him and cut him to the quick. Oh yeah? What song? Fearing pain and torture, Bum quickly responded. The one you always listen to. The American song with the woman? Sangwoo quickly cut him off. Oh, Killing Me Softly! Bum gripped a soapy plate tightly, bracing himself for any blow or anger that may be directed his way. Yeah. Why did I say that? He's gonna hurt me now, I know it. His answer was met with silence. Afraid to look at him head on, Bum checked his expression out of the corner of his eye. Sangwoo was smirking, and looked devilishly handsome in the afternoon light. He ruffled Bum's hair and chuckled warmly. Oh, you should have just told me, I love that song. Hold on, I'll get my MP3 player, I'll be right back. Bum let out a breath he didn't know he was holding until Sangwoo left the room. His hands shook slightly under the water. He was sure after Sangwoo found him listening to the news report he would throw him into the basement with the young college student he had captured earlier this week. He briefly let himself think about Yun Jun's certain demise, but he stopped as a memory of his own bloody hands hovering over Jun's cold, lifeless body flashed in front of his eyes. The spirited and feisty girl hadn't lasted long, mainly because of her argumentative nature clashed so strongly with Sangwoo's unstable behaviour. He was so giddy when she finally took her last breath, gently whispering in Bum's ear that she was an ugly, privileged bitch who finally got what she deserved. Even now, Bum shivered from the gruesome memory. As soon as Sangwoo brought in the new girl, Jun-young, Bum's stomach dropped. It's only been maybe 2 or 3 weeks since June was in the same spot as this girl is in now. He didn't want to think about what Sangwoo had in store for her. He was not at all interested in becoming like him. Earplugs were suddenly shoved into Bum's ears and he nearly jumped out of his skin. You're always spacing out. What are you thinking so hard about, huh? Sangwoo wrapped his arms around Bum's slim shoulders loosely as he laughed at his reaction. Sangwoo, I was just... The taller man looked down at Bum with a puzzled expression. After a beat, he began to nuzzle against Bum's neck. You need to relax, Bum. Don't worry. I have something planned for us soon. I promise you'll love it. He let Bum go to reach for the MP3 player he had in his back pocket. I made a playlist. It has a few covers of the song, but of course nothing beats Roberta Flack's voice. Here. Listen to it yourself and let me know what you think. With a smile, Sangwoo plugged the headphone jack into the music player, pressed play and tossed it into Bum's lap. He gave him a chaste kiss on the lips and left Bum to his chore. Bum focused on his task at hand, but he still felt like he was reeling from the tense moments that had just transpired. Why did I even change the station? Why did I space out when I heard her name? He finished rinsing a glass and reached for a small platter after he placed the glass on the drainer. Bum frowned as the song continued to play. He hated this song so much. He hated this house. He hated that Sangwoo still brought someone home when he had him. Will I ever be enough? Why does he do this? As Bum got to the last few dishes, he focused on the uncomfortable feeling sitting on his chest when he thought about hearing Jun-young's name on the radio. Why do I feel like this? It's not like she'll be around any longer. Unknown to himself, that uncomfortable feeling was jealousy. Deep down, Bum knew that even though he had been missing for more or less a year, no one cared enough about him to take an effort to find him. This emotion still sat heavily on his heart, and birthed a small seed of hate toward the innocent girl in the basement. Sangwoo will always choose me over them. That's what he said. I am better than all of them. She'll be dead like the rest of them before this week is out. This thought calmed Bum as he placed the last dish in the drainer with a loud clang. Chapter 2. It was the middle of the night and Bum was wide awake in the downstairs bedroom, staring off into the darkness. He was laying down on the soft bedding by himself, his back facing the closet and entrance to the basement. Sangwoo was nowhere in sight, but Bum could hear his passionate cries through the thin floor as they floated up from the basement. Why? Why is she still here? Is he gonna replace me? It's been weeks now. Bum's facial expression reflected his distraught thoughts. Nearly every night Sangwoo waited until Bum fell asleep to sneak into the basement. While Bum awoke each time he did so, he didn't need to follow Sangwoo into the basement to see what he was up to. After listening to them copulating over the past week, Bum could recognize whenever Sangwoo was done. He quickly schooled his features to make it seem like he had been sleeping the entire time Sangwoo was in the basement. He pressed his ear deeper into the bedding, trying to hear what Sangwoo was telling the girl. Nasty bitch. Morning. Bum strained to hear what he said, but only caught a few words. He heard the girl sob and then Sangwoo's footsteps as he climbed the stairs. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand as Sangwoo entered the bedroom and closed the closet door. Even with his eyes closed, he could feel Sangwoo's gaze upon him. He heard the bigger man hum quietly and step over Bum to lay down on his side of the bedding. Sangwoo readjusted the blanket to cover Bum's shoulders and to climb under the blanket with him. After he got comfortable, he pulled Bum close to his chest and threw an arm over his waist. With a yawn, he snuggled close to Bum and placed a gentle kiss on Bum's brow shortly after. As soon as Bum felt Sangwoo's lips on his brow, he flinched. Sangwoo paused and studied the older man's features. I hope he didn't notice. It's dark, so maybe he didn't see. I should just keep pretending that I'm asleep. Bum stayed as still as he could while Sangwoo looked him over. After a beat, he figured that he was right and Sangwoo didn't see, so he cracked one eye open. All he saw was Sangwoo's slightly sweaty chest moving up and down as he breathed steadily. But before Bum could declare his acting a success, the arm slung over Bum's waist moved quickly, and in the next moment Sangwoo's hand had captured Bum's jaw. His fingertips dug into Bum's cheeks as he brought his face closer to his. You almost got me there, Bum. Why are you up this late? Is something on your mind? Bum's mind raced as he thought of an answer. His hands grabbed at Sangwoo's wrist as the bigger man squeezed his fingers tighter on his face. You were in the basement, so I... What was that about the basement? You want to go back down there? I'm sure Jun Young would like the company. No! I can't sleep if you're not here. I'm not one of them. I don't belong down there. What am I saying? Now he really will put me back down there. But he said I was different. As Bum uncontrollably spouted whatever came to mind, Sangwoo shushed him by pushing his thumb into his mouth. Bum's eyes were closed during his mild panic, so Sangwoo tapped his face with 3 fingers. Look at me, Bum. Bum opened his eyes, and even in the darkness their eyes met. Listen, Bum. You're right. You're not like them. You're better than them. And I'm sorry for waking you up. He removed his thumb from his mouth to wipe at the dark circles under Bum's eyes. No wonder you've been looking like crap these past few days. Here, lay back down. Bum did as he said, and Sangwoo placed the same hand that had grabbed his face before on his thin chest. I was gonna have you feed young Jung in the morning, but... He propped himself up on his elbows as he leaned over Bum. I think I'll let you sleep instead. You deserve it, Bum. You really need to relax, okay? He leaned further over, his intentions clear to give Bum a kiss. But before their lips could connect, Bum turned his face away. Immediately, Bum's face was back in the snare that was Sangwoo's hand. That's twice you've done that now. 1. You think I'm too good for you, huh? Sangwoo moved his grip from his face to his neck and gave Bum a hard shake. Bum once again held fast to Sangwoo's wrist as he endured the rough treatment. No! No? Then why are you acting like this? I thought you said you loved me. At this point their eyes met again. Sangwoo looked dejected as he awaited Bum's answer. Fear of being rejected by him lurked just beneath the surface. As Bum opened his mouth to give his answer, he stopped, took a deep breath and started to cry. Sangwoo had seen Bum cry countless times, and of course this time was no different. However, tears were the last thing he thought Bum would give as a response. Sangwoo, it's so cruel. Sangwoo watched as he cried, and ignored the twinge he felt in his chest when Bum said his name. He sighed and wrapped his arms around Bum. How? Aren't I feeding you, clothing you, bathing you? I love you too, Bum. What more do you want? The smaller man began to push against his hold. No, you don't love me. Sangwoo held him tighter, frowning as Bum became more and more unruly. If you loved me, you wouldn't bring more girls to the house. You said I was different. Aren't I special to you? Sangwoo nuzzled Bum's hair and pushed a hand up Bum's nightshirt. You are special to me, Bum. I do love you. No, you don't. You can't say that right after having sex with another girl. Bum's voice was closer to a shrill screech as he finished expressing his thoughts. His outburst was met with tense silence. Bum sobbed quietly as he waited for Sangwoo to respond. But as the silence dragged on a few more moments, Bum's cracked, distraught voice filled the dark room. You haven't even touched me these past few weeks. I can't stand thinking that you put your mouth on others first and then put it on mine. I don't want to share you. Aren't I special? Don't I belong to you? Seeing you do this hurts me. I want it to stop. Sangwoo held Bum close as he spoke. His frown deepened with each word he said, and as he thought of what to say, he softly stroked Bum's jet black hair. Bum, I can't stop now. I told you. I have a surprise for us. Will Jun Young replace me? Sangwoo seemed legitimately shocked by Bum's question. What? No. Never. No one could ever replace you, Bum. I told you we're gonna stay together forever. You will never leave me, not until we die. Actually, even when we die, we will be together. Bum's heart warmed at Sangwoo's words, but Jun Young's presence still left him feeling uneasy. Why has she been here so long? Do you want her to be together with us forever too? Do you love her? Sangwoo shook his head vehemently. Bum, no. I only love you. I don't care about Jun Young. She's just part of the surprise. I promise she won't be here that much longer. Bum reached up and touched Sangwoo's face. Promise me. He kissed Bum's hand. I promise. Will she be the last girl? Am I enough for you? He hesitated. Do you want her to be? Yes. Done. She's the last one. Promise me. Sangwoo brought Bum's face level to his. I promise. Once their promise was sealed with a kiss, Sangwoo yawned and once again readjusted the blankets. You really wore me out, Bum. Maybe we should both sleep in tomorrow. I'm sure Yun Jung wouldn't mind. He smirked as he closed his eyes. Bum snuggled into Sangwoo's chest and with a smile cheerily answered, I would really like that. As they both drifted off to sleep, Bum could not help but wonder about Sangwoo's words in that space between consciousness and sleep. What is Sangwoo planning? What is this surprise? I don't think I'm gonna like it. Chapter 3. You don't like it? Bum was speechless. What could anyone say in this situation? What was the protocol? He had no idea how to respond to Sangwoo's twisted surprise. To make matters worse, they were sitting in a booth in a nice restaurant. They had even gone shopping to buy Bum dressy clothes. Bum felt like he had ruined everything with his reaction. But this is just insane. Who would ever do this? Clearly, Sangwoo would. His face was full of absolute glee as he had drove them into the movie theatre and to the restaurant afterwards. He had spoken animatedly all throughout dinner as he described what parts he enjoyed from the movie. When he finished his meal and Bum tried his hardest to finish his, Sangwoo had gently placed a rectangular box on the table. It was wrapped in the prettiest of golden papers with a paisley pattern. Their eyes connected as Sangwoo pushed the gift into Bum's hands, encouraging him in a gentle voice. Open it. Bum's eyes lit up as he had eagerly unwrapped the box, thinking that Sangwoo was so kind to get him something. The romantic date itself made the promise he had whispered weeks ago all the more believable. But nothing could have prepared Bum for what was inside the box. He thought it could be jewellery, or an accessory. Maybe some type of necklace or amulet that expressed how important Bum was to him. He would have even liked a watch. None of those things were inside the box. When he opened it, on a bed of delicate white tissue paper sat a used pregnancy test with a large blue plus sign displayed on the screen. Of course Bum didn't like it. He also didn't know what to say. And Sangwoo didn't like Bum's reaction. Aren't you gonna say anything? His eyes, which were bright and animated before, were now flat and guarded. Bum opened and closed his mouth before his brain could catch up to the situation. Who is... Why do you have... Sangwoo took the box out of Bum's hands. He quickly set it on a table and grabbed Bum's wrists. Bum, we're going to have a baby. Aren't you excited? You will be an amazing mother, I just know it. Shocked, Bum could only stare at Sangwoo. What is he saying? I can't be anyone's mother, I'm a man. Bum's heart raced as he tried to formulate a response that would satisfy him. The longer he took to respond, the tighter Sangwoo's hands became on his wrists. What am I supposed to say? What does he want to hear? How are we having a baby? Who took this pregnancy test? Sangwoo blinked. Then he chuckled softly. What are you saying? Don't worry about the little things. Just know that soon we're going to have a little family of our own. Bum did not like that answer, and as the fancy lobster entree churned in his stomach, he pressed Sangwoo for more information. How are we going to raise a baby? We haven't even graduated from college. Bum, you seriously worry too much. We already have the house, so we don't need to worry about living expenses. I'll graduate really soon and find a good job. It may be hard at first, but trust me when I say, we'll be fine. You'll be an amazing mother. I know you'll keep a warm and inviting home. You sick motherfucker. Bum couldn't look at Sangwoo. He kept his head down and studied how his silver napkin ring sparkled under the restaurant's amorous lighting. I don't know, Sangwoo. I've never even held a baby. Sangwoo seemed relaxed. His face held a gentle smile as he slid his hands from Bum's wrist to his palms. From there he intertwined their fingers and began rubbing lazy circles with his thumb on the back of Bum's hands. Bum focused on their intertwined hands, blushing as he thought how in love they must look to others. Bum. He untangled one hand to lift the smaller man's gaze. Believe me, we have gotten through so much together. Parenting is just the next step. Don't you trust me? You said she wasn't going to be around much longer. How can you lie to me? Bum moved the hand under his chin to his lips. I don't want to share you. Sangwoo laughed out loud. You are too cute sometimes. He shot Bum an amused look as he placed their hands back on the table. You told me I was different. You said you loved me. Then why do we need anyone else? Look, Bum, we've got all the foundations needed to make a good family. It's not like you're going to be alone. Of course, I'll be there to help. Being a parent isn't hard. You already are a good mother. All you have to do is bathe, feed, and clothe the baby. The same things I do for you. It's simple, really. You disgust me. I can't stand you. I'm scared. What if something happens to the baby because I don't know how to take care of it? What if it gets sick and it needs to go to the hospital? Sangwoo smacked his lips and threw down Bum's hands. He quickly signaled to the waiter to bring the check. I'm getting sick of repeating myself, Bum. Get over yourself. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Just shut up and listen to me and everything will be fine. When the baby is born, you just need to be the caring, loving mother while I am a hard-working father. Bum stayed silent as the waiter cleared their table and fetched the check. Why do you do things like this? Please, stop hurting me. After Sangwoo paid the bill and collected the unconventional gift, they left the restaurant. Sangwoo was clearly upset with Bum. He didn't even walk slow as they headed for the exit, leaving Bum to hobble through the restaurant on his crutch by himself. He was even slower than normal due to having to navigate around tables and customers. When Bum had finally made it outside the restaurant, Sangwoo had just gotten his car keys from the valet and was getting into the driver's side of his car. Bum hobbled as quickly as he could to the passenger side and climbed in. Before he could fully close the door, Sangwoo drove off. The mood was tense in the sedan. Sangwoo seemed to not even notice Bum was there as he raced through the town, sped around corners and cut people off. As his erratic driving behaviour worsened, Bum hurriedly buckled himself in. The way Sangwoo was acting reminded him of that night long ago, except his facial expression was completely different. That night, his face full of childish glee, but tonight it was full of dark rage. Bum thought hard about what he could say to turn it all around, but he was truly at a loss for words. I'm not enough for him. I will never be enough for him. I will never be enough for anybody. With brakes screeching, Sangwoo stopped in front of their house and parallel parked. Bum's heart began to race as he watched Sangwoo roughly put the car in park and throw open the door. He was frozen in place as Sangwoo walked around the car to his side. He swung the door open and with a hand on the hood and a glare in Bum's direction, sneered, "Get out." At this point, Bum was trembling, and his shaking led to several unsuccessful attempts to unbuckle his seatbelt. Irritated, Sangwoo smacked Bum's hands away and unbuckled the seatbelt in one try. After it retracted behind him, Sangwoo yanked his arm and he spilled out of the car. Ow! Sangwoo, please! Bum's cries of pain were ignored as Sangwoo stomped up the stairs and unlocked the door, dragging Bum over the threshold. Bum could do nothing but call Sangwoo's name as they made a direct path to the basement door. Sangwoo threw Bum down on the floor before unlocking the basement. You know, I had a different idea of how this night was gonna go. Bum cried out as he was manhandled to the basement opening. Just remember while you're sitting down there that it's your fault. At this point, Bum was clinging to Sangwoo's dinner jacket like a desperate beggar. Sangwoo, wait! You said I wasn't like them. You said I was different. Sangwoo pushed Bum's grabby hands off his jacket. Oh, how could I forget? Sangwoo lifted Bum by his underarms so that they were eye to eye. You're not like the rest. You're different, right? Sangwoo's smile was smug as he waited for Bum's response. Bum reached for Sangwoo's shoulders, trying to steady himself as the larger man dangled him over the basement opening. Yes, we'll be together forever. We love each other. Sangwoo cut him off with a sharp bark of laughter. Now see, Bum, that's where you're wrong. I can see you for the lying scum you are. He pulled Bum close and kissed the gnarly fresh scar that ran parallel to his jawline. While the deep cut took weeks to finally heal, the scar tissue still felt tender to Bum. Sangwoo loved to touch it and kiss it, much to the smaller man's dismay. He once again dangled Bum over the open basement door. I love you, Bum. I want us to be together forever. But you love yourself too much to want that. You are so selfish that you can't even see that making our own family will make us closer than ever. So no, Bum, you're not different at all. His face still smug, Sangwoo dropped Bum into the open door and watched as he tumbled down the stairs. He landed with a loud smack on the hard concrete floor. Even though he felt pain all over his body, Bum was able to clearly hear Sangwoo's parting words. You do belong down there. Because in the end, you were just another piece of shit. Like the rest of them. He smiled down at Bum and let the basement door slam shut. Bum listened to him lock the door and his footsteps thump onto the floor as he walked away. The basement was shrouded in darkness, the only light available shining through a slim crack from the basement opening. Bum stared at that sliver of light, waiting for Sangwoo to come back, for him to say it was a joke, to say he didn't mean it. But after several minutes of waiting, Bum began to realize that this was real, that this was happening. Despite the pain radiating in his legs, ribs, head and shoulders, he began the grueling ascent to the basement door. How did this happen? I'm right back where I started. I don't belong down here. Sangwoo! Sangwoo! Please let me out. It's dark. Halfway up the stairs, Bum heard a noise from the back of the basement. He quickly turned and there in the far corner was Jung Young, tied, gagged and beaten. Bum could only stare in horror as he truly realized how far he'd fallen. Less than an hour ago, he was in a fancy restaurant eating dinner with the most handsome man in the room. Now he had been trapped with the last person he wanted to see. The mother of Sangwoo's child. Chapter 4. The tension in the basement was electric. Bum could not look away from the abused girl trembling in the basement corner. She and Sangwoo. Just a few months from now and they will have her. He shook his head to clear the thought. At this time, he couldn't worry about anyone else besides himself. Yet, there he was, descending the stairs as gingerly as he could, favouring his left side as it radiated pain. He couldn't recall the last time he had been alone with Jun Young. Even then, they hadn't been truly alone. Sangwoo was always nearby, either doing his daily exercises at the other end of the basement or sitting on the top of the stairs watching Bum feed her. The constant vigilance deterred both from even speaking to each other. After the night Sangwoo promised Bum she wouldn't be here much longer, Sangwoo completely took over her care. When Bum thought about the gift he gave him, it became clear as to why. Jun Young released a muffled sob as he finally reached the bottom stair. Bum took a break as he studied her the best he could in the incredibly dark basement. She looked worse than the last time he saw her. Her lustrous, wavy brown hair was now matted. The previously pale, flawless skin was now marred with dark bruises. Even in the darkness, she hardly resembled the flirty party girl Sangwoo brought home all those weeks ago. As Bum continued to study her, she began to make more muffled sounds. After a few moments, she began to pull at her restraints, the muffled sounds increasing in both sound and frequency. Bum made his way to her corner in an agonizingly slow crawl. Are you trying to tell me something? After what seemed like forever, Bum finally reached the girl. Don't yell, okay? Sangwoo might hear. What are you doing? Do you want him to tie you up like her? Leave her alone and wait for him on the stairs. He may still come back. She will be nothing but trouble. Despite the warning bells going off in his head, Bum saw his hands reach for the cloth gagging her. He expected her to not listen to his request when he pulled it out of her mouth, but surprisingly the small girl stayed silent. Confused, Bum stared at the mole on her chin. What were you trying to say? Jun Young took a deep breath. Her chin trembled as she croaked out gravely words. Please, I'm so hungry. Please, I won't tell. He hasn't fed me for days. I'm so hungry. Do you have anything? She coughed and the action shook her whole body. Anything to eat, please. As Bum listened to her plea for help, he couldn't help but feel smug. Yesterday, I had a full breakfast, lunch and dinner. Tonight I was even treated at a fancy restaurant. Sangwoo didn't lie. He doesn't love her. He loves me. He takes care of me. As much as the thoughts made Bum feel better about his importance to Sangwoo, he felt guilty immediately after. He remembered being bound and gagged like this girl, completely at Sangwoo's mercy. The realization that he may end up once again in a similar predicament shook him to his core. It was in that moment that he made a decision. Are you thirsty too? The girl nodded vigorously. Bum slowly got on all fours again, the sharp pain on his left side now a dull throbbing. Hold on, I'll be right back. Determined, Bum began to slowly crawl back towards the staircase. He remembered that when Sangwoo would finish his daily exercises, he would sometimes leave half-full or even empty water bottles under the stairs. He sat back on his heels when he reached his destination, once again taking a breather. His ribs felt like they were on fire, and his left wrist felt like it had been slammed in a car door repeatedly. That fall did more damage than I thought. Once done with his break, he looked under the stairs and found 3 water bottles. One was empty, another had a fourth of water, and the last was 3/4 full. Ah, great. There's some water still here. He grabbed the last bottle and began to slowly crawl towards the corner opposite to Jun Young. If he remembered correctly, Sangwoo had kept the cans of food he fed Bum in one of the boxes in this corner. Sangwoo had stocked up just one box because it was a fucking pain to go up and down the stairs to grab the cans. When he reached the first pile of boxes, he pulled the tallest one down to the floor, surprised at how light it was, and began to dig blindly into it. The first box was a dud. It was just full of twine and zip ties. Pushing that box to the side, Bum searched 2 more boxes but still came up empty-handed. What are you doing? The girl's quiet, hoarse voice shocked Bum, causing him to drop the box he had pulled off of the next pile. There may be food down here, although it's been so long. I don't know anymore. He let out a heavy sigh as he realized the box he dropped only had clothing. Going for the box that was underneath it, he was surprised to see that it contained the baseball bat Sangwoo used to invite him to his home so long ago. It was cold to the touch, but Bum could still remember the jarring impact it made as Sangwoo swung it into his shoulder as hard as he could. Lost in thought, Bum was once again startled by Jun Young's voice. You stopped looking. Did you find something? No. Bum hurriedly sifted through the items at the bottom of the box, ignoring the baseball bat altogether. His hand knocked against something hard, and finally victorious, he pulled a small can of chicken curry out of the box. Elated, he began the painful journey back to Jun Young's side. Once there, he offered her his prizes. It's not much, but... She eyed her bound wrists when Bum tried to pass them to her. Oh, right. With a few tugs, her hands were free, but her feet were still chained to the pipe against the wall. Once her hands were free, she grabbed for both the can and the water bottle, and with rough, jerky movements guzzled the water and scarfed down the chicken curry. Bum felt awkward as he sat there and watched her eat. Not wanting to waste one drop, she licked the can clean and tipped the bottle of the water over her mouth several times. After it was clear that both the containers were empty, she dropped them next to her feet. With a contented sigh, she leaned against the wall and leveled a look at Bum that he never thought he would be on the receiving end for. Gratitude. Thank you so much. I thought I was a goner for sure. Thank goodness you got down here when you did. At first, Bum's heart warmed at her words, but as they rolled around in his head, his mood began to sour. It's her fault I'm here in the first place. I'm not even supposed to be down here. I'm not like her. I'm better. Does he do the same things that he does to me?
Does he do them to you?
Her eyes were wide, and even in the dark they glittered with unshed tears. Bum frowned deeply. What do you mean? Her voice hitched and a tear rolled down her cheek.
Do I even have to say it? I'm sure you hear us. It's disgusting. I just want to go home.
Her words sent a pang deep in his chest. You're lucky he does those things to you. He never does them to me. Before Bum could respond, she continued talking.
I don't even know how long I've been here. My mom and dad, they must be worried about me.
Bum jumped as she reached out and touched his hand.
How long have you been here? I know it has to be longer than me, right?
Bum could only nod as he stared at the hand resting on his. I think it's been close to a year now.
A year?
She seemed distraught by Bum's answer.
No. I can't stay here that long. There has to be some way to escape. Do you know any way out of here? You have to, right? Look, we can help each other. We can escape together if we try.
Bum was frozen by her suggestion. Escape together? Things would be better if she left. With that thought, he hesitantly gave her an answer. I'm allowed to go out every now and then, but I have to ask Sangwoo first.
Wait, you're allowed to leave? Then why are you still here? Are you stupid?
Just like that, Bum's vision warped. He was a teenager again, distraught as the girl who approached him yelled at him over and over again. The louder she became, the more his anger boiled until it bubbled over. I'm not the stupid one, you dumb bitch. You are. You think that just because you can get pregnant and I can't, that you're better than me. You're wrong. I'm better than you. He picked up the tin can lid discarded at her feet. That's why I sleep in a bed and you sleep in a basement. With sudden speed and complete ignorance of his own injuries, Bum began to inflict deep gashes all over Jun Young's body using the can lid just like Sangwoo had done all those months ago. Over her screams and pleas for mercy, Bum shouted anything that came to mind. I'm smarter than you. You'll be dead before you know it. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean he'll keep you around forever. When you die, I'll still be here, alive, because he always chooses me. He will never choose you. Just die already. Before he could finish his rant, Jun Young was able to get a solid kick to his gut while he was mid-swing. As he doubled over in pain, she desperately yanked on her chain attached to the pipe.
Please, God, please, I want to get the fuck out, away from you crazy-ass people. I want to go back home. Please.
The kick had done enough to help Bum come back to his senses. Still hunched over, he watched Jun Young rage over the chain as it held firm despite her constant yanking.
God damn it, let me the fuck out of here!
The yell ended on a choked sob. Ashamed, Bum looked at the tin can lid in his hand, glistening with her blood. Mortified, he threw the lid as far as he could, listening to it bounce off the concrete floor. He felt like a monster. With a scream of frustration, Jun Young released the chain and flopped to the floor with a sob. Although her matted hair covered her face, Bum was able to see his handiwork displayed on the rest of her body. The deep gashes oozed blood all over her arms, legs, chest and stomach. Feeling nauseous, he opened his mouth to apologize, but nothing came out. Sangwoo is still going to kill me. Why did I leave the stairs? I should have never left the stairs. He turned away from his victim, the stairs once again his destination. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't know what... Bum hoped the poor girl could hear his apology even though tears clogged his throat. Sobs racked his body as he laboriously climbed the stairs once again. When he finally reached the hatch door, he pressed against it as hard as he could, but even using all of his strength it hardly cracked open a few centimeters. He didn't care either way and began yelling through the little space he was able to make. Sangwoo! Please, don't leave me down here. Please, I don't belong. His voice broke on a sob and defeated. He sat on the stairs with tears streaming down his face. I didn't mean to hurt her. I shouldn't even be down here. Please come back, Sangwoo. Don't leave me down here. I don't trust myself. Exhausted and scared, Bum folded into a ball where he sat on the stairs. He let his head fall on his folded arms, his long-sleeved dress shirt soaking up his tears. Although he couldn't see anything with his face resting on his arms, he could still hear Jun Young's sob and her obvious moans of pain. Their broken sobs mingled in the dark and together created a depressing melody. Bum mumbled apologies under his breath, hoping that Jun Young could hear them. He also prayed that more than anything else, She actually believed them. Warm, strong arms wrapped around Bum's middle and lifted him into the air. He hadn't even noticed that he fell asleep. Weary and tired, he could not wake up enough to get a full understanding of what was happening. He could only feel what was happening. His eyelids sat like stubborn weights, refusing to let him see. The arms were attached to a chiseled body, and Bum was cradled against it. After being carried a short distance, he felt the familiar softness of his bed. The difference between the basement stairs and the bedding was so drastic, he could not help but sigh in pleasure. He began to return back to full sleep, his consciousness sinking into the softness of deep slumber. Halfway there, he felt hands hastily pull at his clothing, stripping him bare. Even once stripped, he couldn't bring himself to stir. However, he was jarred awake when the chiseled body flopped onto his own. His heart racing, Bum's eyes flew open and he was completely taken aback by the scene before him. Sangwoo was rubbing his face on Bum's chest, leaving trails of tears across his nipples and flat pectorials. The larger man periodically left small kisses in his wake as he created a strange pattern on Bum's chest with his tears. Afraid to move, Bum gasped as Sangwoo began to suck and tug on a nipple. His gasp caught the teary-eyed man's attention. "Oh, Bum." He pulled him in for a passionate kiss, surprised by his actions, but even more surprised by the strong taste of alcohol coating Sangwoo's tongue. Bum could only lay there as Sangwoo assaulted his mouth. Finally, he broke the kiss, a long glistening string of saliva connecting their mouths. "You can't hide from me when you get upset, okay? You scared me so much I couldn't find you. You're not allowed to do that. I need to be able to see you all the time, even if you're mad at me." He began giving Bum a flurry of kisses all over his face. "Even if I deserve to be punished, you can't, okay? I don't like not being able to know where you are. You know the basement would be the last place I would check for you." Grabbing his shoulders, he gave Bum a rough shake. "Do you hear me, Yoon Bum? Why were you even down there?" Bum felt like he had just ran a marathon, emotionally spent and horribly confused by his warden. He could only stare at Sangwoo with wide eyes. Sangwoo's own eyes currently had the sharpness of one who is crazed, but his gaze was unfocused enough that it showed he was completely inebriated. As the silence carried on, Sangwoo gathered Bum close again, and began licking his bumpy scar under his jaw. "Whatever, just don't let it happen again, okay? We have to be together or she comes back. She never came inside the room before, but she was in here, telling me I was a bad boy." The tears were back as he shook Bum by the shoulders again. "My mother was here. She kept yelling at me. She told me it was my fault, but it wasn't. Tell her I'm not a bad boy. I'm a good boy. Nothing was my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. Bum, tell her." Sangwoo gestured wildly at the door to the bedroom, still shaking Bum roughly in his other hand. Wanting the rough handling to stop, Bum complied to his request. You're a good boy, Sangwoo. You're always right. You've never done anything wrong." Sangwoo stopped shaking Bum. All of his attention was on the door. After a long stretch of silence, he began to giggle. Since all of his focus was on the door, Bum couldn't get a good look at Sangwoo's expression. When he turned around, Bum no longer had to wonder. His smile stretched ear to ear. His dilated pupils were two black orbs in a sea of white, highlighted by dark bags sitting directly below. He leaned over Bum's body, ignoring how it trembled beneath him, and brought his mouth right next to his ear.
"Thanks to you."
He licked the shell of his ear, eliciting a shiver from the smaller man.
"She's gone."
They went to sleep after that. Sangwoo caged Bum in his arms, rolled onto his side and stayed that way until morning. Bum had a hard time sleeping after being a key witness to the unsettling incident, but eventually found himself falling back into a deep slumber before the sun could rise. He woke up alone, next to the bedding with the clothes Sangwoo stripped off of him. Uncomfortable being stark naked, Bum reached for his pants. While putting them on, Sangwoo swept into the room with a bowl in one hand and a spoon in the other. Bum froze as the younger man studied him in the morning light. Sangwoo yawned and scratched at his stomach. "I made you breakfast if you want some. I didn't know you were awake yet. Let me just give Jun Young hers first and I'll go grab yours." At first, the words didn't register in Bum's mind. He started to nod dumbly until he remembered last night's events and the deep gashes left by him all over the trapped girl's body. Afraid of being locked away again, he lurched for Sangwoo, pants around his knees, penis dangling. "Wait, I can feed her. You must be tired from getting up so early. Here." He reached out to Sangwoo. "You can just rest while I do it. Maybe this will buy me some time. I don't want to be locked down there again." Sangwoo stared at him for a beat. Stop being disgusting so damn early in the morning and pull your fucking pants up, you nasty ass pervert. I told you I'll get you your breakfast. You really gonna spit in my face while I'm doing something nice? As he chastised him, Bum hurriedly pulled up his pants with his eyes trained on the floor and his heartbeat in his ears softly replied, No, Sangwoo. I just thought you might be tired. He could feel his stare, but within moments Sangwoo walked by him and down the stairs to the basement. Bum felt glued to the floor as he listened anxiously for Sangwoo's reaction. With the hatch door open, it was a lot easier to hear what was going on. He heard the chain rattle as Sangwoo woke Jun-young up. She let out a squeak of fear and then grunts of pain as Bum imagined Sangwoo began to really study her. The fuck? He heard the ball clink as it was placed on the basement floor, then Sangwoo's bare footsteps as he approached the stairs. Bum, come here. The world turned, and Bum looked at the doorway to the bedroom wondering if he could crawl fast enough to slip out the front door. Idiot, you would take forever, and Sangwoo would definitely notice. Bum, don't make me repeat myself. You don't want me coming up there. Bum jerked to action, nervously approaching the basement entrance. Sangwoo looked up from the bottom stair, and although his expression was neutral, Bum's gut twisted in knots. Did you do this to Jun-young? Bum's eyes filled with tears as he began to sob. Sangwoo's neutral expression didn't change. I asked you a question, Bum. Come on, you can tell me. Bum's vision was blurred as he choked out a yes, bobbing his head up and down in what could be taken for a nod. Sangwoo continued to stare at him. Come down here. Oh God, no. Please, Sangwoo. No, I can't, I'm sorry. Sangwoo's face scrunched up in confusion, then cleared as a thought occurred to him. Oh yeah, you did get pretty banged up last night, that's a shame. I would carry you down, but I've got a hangover myself. Okay, maybe next time then. It's always good to be able to see your work in the daylight. He walked away from the stairs and back toward Jun-young. There's another thing I don't understand. How the heck did you throw up? I didn't feed you anything. You gave her something to eat, Bum? Is he not angry? Is this a trick? Bum called down from the opening in a cautious voice. Yes? Some chicken curry? Ugh, gross. More vomit. Just what I need. I don't have time for this. My head's killing me. Start eating. I'll be right back. Bum backed away from the opening as Sangwoo climbed up the stairs. He walked right by Bum and into the hallway. He heard him go to the bathroom, open a few cabinets, and then return to the room with the familiar first aid kit and a wet towel. He nudged Bum with his foot before heading back into the basement. You were really into slasher films, weren't you? I knew it. Still dumbfounded, Bum couldn't respond. Soon the only things that came from the basement were soft cries of pain from Jun-young and Sangwoo's irritated threats. When he finished, he came back upstairs and with a half-eaten bowl of rice porridge and the first aid kit. Throughout this entire exchange, Bum sat in the same spot and didn't move a muscle. He wasn't sure what was reality anymore. Sangwoo had pulled him onto the bedding and pushed a bowl into his hands, but Bum continued to stare off into the distance, angered by his aloofness. Sangwoo snatched the bowl from Bum's hands. Hey, if you don't eat what I made, then you're going to be on the same diet Jun-young was on. I hope you enjoy the taste of air. Sangwoo had finished his meal and gotten up to take the dishes back to the kitchen. When he stood up, Bum came to life. I'm so sorry. He couldn't look Sangwoo in the eye, instead focusing on the tall man's bare feet. Aren't you angry at me for what I did to Jun-young? Sangwoo sighed. Yeah, I guess. I counted 15 slashes. That's a little more than last time. I wish you would have told me you were going to do that. I would have liked to watch. But it's fine. There is always next time. Bum was confused by his response. 15 slashes? Isn't he forgetting something? What about the baby? Sangwoo began to turn to the door. If that's all you had to say, then I need to get ready for work. Bum once again lurched forward. Wait, just forget it. Apologizing now will make things worse, but... He gathered around the blanket around him as he fought past the churning feeling in his gut. I'm sorry that I hurt Jun-young. I'm sorry that I cut her stomach and hurt the baby. I don't know why I did it. I couldn't stop. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. Sangwoo turned back and crouched down so that he was eye level with Bum, forcing him to look at him head on. He cocked his head to the side as he regarded the emaciated man. Bum felt ashamed of what he did, and he knew that he had just made everything worse with his words. Sangwoo was probably going to do worse than kill him now. He didn't even want to think about it. Sangwoo frowned as Bum came to this conclusion. Bum, what the fuck are you talking about? Taken aback, Bum's eyes widened with confusion. I hurt the mother of your child. I did something wrong. Sangwoo continued to stare at him. Stop coming up with stupid stuff all on your own. I even told you not to worry about the small details. When did I ever say that Jun Young was pregnant? He paused, making sure Bum heard what he said. Never. Chapter 5. Every day Sangwoo brought home more baby items. He had even taken Bum shopping with him a few times to stock up on baby food, diapers, formula, clothing and blankets. Half of the laundry room was dedicated to the stockpile they were building. Every time they added to it, Sangwoo would turn to Bum with smouldering eyes and boast about how ready they were for this baby. After one such shopping trip, he cradled Bum's face in his hand and pushed his back against the shelf holding dozens of jars of baby food. I can't wait. This is amazing. Can you believe it? We're gonna have a baby. Just think about it. He kissed Bum's forehead, the pitter-patter of little feet. Bum never felt so loved. He also never felt so uncertain. Where is this baby coming from? Is there even a baby? But the uncertainty was easily ignored, because everything was good. It was so good. Bum was actually happy. He and Sangwoo were in a world of their own. Jun Young's presence no longer concerned Bum. She was just another chore. Sangwoo's nightly visits to her had decreased over time, to the point that he hardly woke Bum up anymore when he went down to her. That alone reduced Bum's anxiety that she would be his replacement. She was just an annoying pet that had to be cleaned and fed. The whole atmosphere of the house had changed. Sangwoo's excitement for the baby was contagious. Even Bum couldn't wait for the baby, despite the fact that he still wondered if it was real. As another way to get ready for the baby, Sangwoo had tasked Bum with cleaning out the upstairs so they could have enough space to sleep upstairs with the crib. It was quite a big job as Sangwoo used the upstairs purely as storage. Bum did his best to clean it according to the only instructions given to him. Get rid of all this useless stuff. One day, Sangwoo came home while Bum was cleaning upstairs. He had worked through a handful of boxes mostly filled with broken appliances, when he found a box full of long overalls and sundresses. These look like something an older woman would wear. He was holding a green overall dress with an embroidered sunflower on the front pocket when Sangwoo climbed to the top of the stairs. What are you doing? Embarrassed, Bum pushed the dress back into the box. Nothing. Just going through this box. He walked over to where Bum was working and pulled the green dress out of the box. He held it up against Bum's front and hummed. It looks good on you. Blushing, Bum looked down at the dress. Does it really look good? After giving it a second look, he could also see a few areas where it was threadbare and worn out. Clearly someone wore this dress quite a lot. Suddenly, Bum was enveloped in Sangwoo's arms, his chin resting on the short man's head. The dress was crushed between them as Sangwoo tightened the hug and sighed. What should I do? Why is he doing this? He couldn't see his expression in this position. I guess I should just let him do what he wants. Sangwoo held him like that for several minutes before picking up Bum and placing him on a stack of boxes, all the while sucking on his neck and ear. Bum tried to keep steady as Sangwoo pushed against him, fearing that he might fall from his unstable perch. He stopped caring, however, when Sangwoo's massive erection rubbed against his inner thigh. Is he... What? Why is he doing this now? Still confused, Bum tried to match pace with the larger man, and soon the room was filled with gasps and moans as they passionately kissed. Oh, wow. I think we're actually going to... My head is spinning. This is amazing. Abruptly, Sangwoo pulled away and looked down at Bum. The green dress was haphazardly laying across his chest. Silent, Sangwoo wiped his mouth and pulled the dress off of Bum. Without a word, he walked back down the stairs with the dress bunched in his hand. What the hell was that? What the hell just happened? After Bum was able to gather his wits and readjust his clothes, he hobbled to the top of the stairs and saw Sangwoo sitting on the last step, afraid, but also hopeful of a repeat of the passionate session they just had. He didn't call out to him. Maybe I should just leave him alone. He seems to be acting strange. Bum. Sangwoo stood and Bum jumped at suddenly hearing his name. Hurry up and clean the house. He walked into the downstairs bedroom. At this rate, the baby will be born by the time you finish. He was still holding the green dress tight in his hand. Lately, it seemed like all he and Sangwoo talked about was the future, and although it was mainly focused on what life with a baby would be like, Bum was so thankful that Sangwoo's future included him. Every single day confirmed that Sangwoo's confession of love was nothing else but the truth. Sangwoo's mood had also stayed relatively upbeat. With his graduation happening in less than a few months, he already received job offers from a few companies. He was so cheery that it became rare for Bum not to see him smile or hear him laugh. One such day, a cheerful Sangwoo dangled his keys in front of Bum's face. You don't know how to drive, right? It might come in handy if you learn. I'll teach you. From that point on, driving lessons took place in the empty streets of their abandoned neighbourhood every night. It seemed like each time Bum made a mistake, Sangwoo would snap at him, resulting in him making more mistakes. The first 2 days were rough. Sangwoo had chewed the smaller man out so harshly that he hadn't stopped shaking for the rest of the evening. On the third day, Bum didn't make a single mistake from starting the car to driving it to the end of the street. After a week, he was able to drive it around the block with no mistakes. The week after, he was able to drive out onto a busy road with traffic. Each week, Sangwoo's criticisms decreased and his playfulness increased. He would randomly scare Bum by yelling in his ear, grabbing the steering wheel, blasting the radio and pointing out imaginary dangers. The upside to Sangwoo's unpredictable behaviour was that Bum was positive that he was getting better at reacting calmly to Sangwoo's actions. After 6 weeks of practice, Sangwoo told Bum that they were going out for a drive. Thinking that they were going to practice more, Bum followed Sangwoo's directions until they arrived in a pretty bad part of the city. The area was even worse than where Sangwoo lived. Nearly every building they passed had broken windows and litter was everywhere. Bum felt unsafe even inside the car. Sangwoo seemed oblivious to the surroundings as he texted someone the entire drive. He finally made Bum park in the dark alley and turn off the car while he continued to text the unknown person. After about 20 minutes, a man entered the alley from a building's side door. Almost immediately, Sangwoo's phone rang. He picked up before the ringtone finished its first note.
Yeah, I think I can see him now. Dark jacket, right?
Alright, got it. He hung up and told Bum to turn on the engine and drive slow. Bum jumped to action. After the lights turned on, the man halfway down the alley briefly looked over his shoulder but kept walking towards the mouth of the alley. As Bum let the car slowly roll forward, Sangwoo reached over and began to pull at the steering wheel. Sangwoo. Wow, Bum. You've only been driving for a few days. You're still having a hard time controlling the car. Your legs are still kinda messed up, so you don't know how much pressure to put on the pedals. Sangwoo said all of this in a monotone voice as they crept closer to the man. He angled the car until they were right behind him. Bum tried to yank back the steering wheel. Sangwoo, we might hit him. Oh man, Bum, watch out. Be careful, there's a man right there. Sangwoo reached over and slammed a hand down on Bum's knee, causing the foot hovering over the gas pedal to floor it. As the man disappeared under the hood with a grunt of pain, Bum screamed in horror and stomped on the brake. Sangwoo was the epitome of calm. Oh my god, Bum, how did you not see him standing there? We need to get him to the hospital, fast. Bum was shaking harder than a leaf as Sangwoo got out of the car and ran out to the front. Bum watched as he dragged the man out from under the hood, all the while yelling, "Oh my god, sir, are you okay? Let's get you to the hospital." The man seemed to be unresponsive as Sangwoo pulled him from underneath the car. From what Bum could see, the accident had caused serious damage to the man's face. His nose looked like it had been broken and half of his face was smeared in blood. Sangwoo continued to yell in the man's ear as he dragged him towards the back of the car. "Please hold on, sir, we're taking you to the hospital, stay with me." Sangwoo managed to get the back door open and lugged the disorientated man into the back seat. Once secure, he jumped into the passenger seat with Bum and told him to drive home. We're not going to the hospital? What the hell would give you that idea? Shut the fuck up and drive. The man came out of his stupor right before Bum pulled into their house. He came to with a string of curses and flailing limbs. Surprised by the man's sudden outburst, Bum slammed on the brake. "What are you doing? Park in front of the house, you idiot." But he's awake. No one told you to worry about him. Come on, we don't have all fucking day. The man began kicking the back of Bum's seat.
"Let me out, you bastards! You ran me over, you degenerates! I'll make you fucking pay!"
For the love of Bum, fucking drive or I'll run your ass over next. Sangwoo unbuckled his seatbelt as a flustered Bum drove the car forward. Sangwoo leaned into the back seat and tried to engage the enraged man kicking the seats and doors.
"Open the damn door! I've got blood in my fucking eyes! Wait till I get out of this car, I'm gonna fuck you both up!"
Sangwoo tapped the man's cheek. "Hey, old man, can you shut the hell up? All of your yelling's giving me a headache."
"What the hell did you say to me, boy? You want a piece of me?"
The taser Sangwoo used on the man's leg worked in getting him to stop his constant yelling. As the man pissed his pants and convulsed on the back seat, Bum parked in front of the house. Great, one more thing to clean up. My car's gonna smell like hobo piss for weeks. Bum, help me get him inside. Hey, Bum, am I spelling this right? I feel like it looks wrong. Hey, are you listening? Bum was retching near the stairs. Tears streamed down his face as he tried to breathe through the smell of blood and gore choking the basement's air. He felt Sangwoo's hand run soothingly up and down his back. Look, I know this can be hard, especially for a newbie like you, but I really need your help with this. We're supposed to leave a message on each limb, but we've only got one leg and half a torso done. Now, come look at this with me and tell me if it looks right. He pulled Bum by the arm to the middle of the basement where what was left of their handiwork sat in a pile of limbs. He was alive a few hours ago. This is not what I wanted tonight to be like at all. Why are we doing this? Who is this message for? I need to leave. I can't take this anymore. Sangwoo is sick. He disgusts me. I think I spelled this wrong. This word here. Sangwoo pointed to the torso missing a head, arms and legs. Bum gagged again, but read over the message Sangwoo had carved in the man's flesh. This is retribution. Is the last word supposed to say retribution? Yeah, but it looks funny, right? You spelled it wrong. Damn, I thought so. It's not a hard word, but I was getting so distracted by how warm his blood was. Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter now. It's not like I can erase the mistake. He chuckled as he walked to the pile of limbs. Since you know how to spell it right. He dropped a severed arm onto Bum's lap. You can do this arm. I'll copy what you write. Bum screamed and scrambled away on his knees until he fell over Jun Young's prone form. The girl was still passed out from when she fainted from watching Sangwoo chop the man to pieces. Come the fuck on, Bum. You hardly helped while I cut this fucker up. The least you could do is write down a few words. Bum sobbed as Sangwoo placed the limp arm on Bum's lap, and a sharp kitchen knife in his hand. I'm not gonna hold your hand through all of this, there's too much work to do. Ugh. This is the last time I ever take a request. Sangwoo walked back over to the pile and dragged a leg to where Bum sat. He also grabbed another knife on his way back. Get started. I want to get this done before I go to bed. I got classes in the morning. Hurry up. He maneuvered Bum's hands so that it hovered over the uncut flesh. Blood from the severed portion oozed onto the plastic apron Sangwoo had provided him earlier. Oh God, no. I don't want to do this. This isn't happening. But he won't leave me alone until I do it. Okay. Just don't think about it, and maybe it'll be over soon. Gritting his teeth and closing his eyes, Bum set to work, slowly cutting away at the still warm flesh. Bum sat at the kitchen table in a daze. His apron was gone, but he was still covered in blood. It's dark outside. How late is it? How did I get here? Where is Sangwoo? The man in question stepped over the kitchen threshold with both hands behind his back. Bum, I've got a surprise for you. He also looked like a gory mess in his staple black underwear. Half of his face was covered in blood and some was even in his hair. Close your eyes. Bum blinked at him, not understanding what was going on. Sangwoo kicked his chair. Cover your eyes. Bum quickly complied. You better not be peeking. Bum felt the air move in front of his face and guessed that Sangwoo was checking if he could see. Okay. You got two choices. Door number 1 or door number 2? Door number 2? Sangwoo hummed in response. Good choice. Hold out your hands and keep your eyes closed. No peeking. Hesitantly, Bum listened to Sangwoo's instructions. After a few beats, he felt something cool and hard placed into his hand. Sangwoo slapped his back. Okay, open your eyes. In his hand sat an intricately carved wooden cane. Even though Bum had no experience appraising the value of woodworks, he could tell that this was well made and expensive. Oh, wow, it's beautiful. Don't just look at it, try it out. The guy I ordered it from designed it for your exact height. Bum pushed out of his chair and hobbled around the kitchen with a lot more grace than his crutches could ever provide. How does it feel? Bum smiled genuinely. Great, it's really sturdy, and now I can move faster than with my crutches. Sangwoo smiled back at him. Good. It's made out of expensive oak wood. I'm glad you like it. Now, sit back down. You still have one more door to open. Eagerly, Bum took his seat again. Laying his new cane over his knees, he covered his eyes with his hands and waited for Sangwoo's instructions. Hold out your hands again. No peeking. Excited, Bum did as he was told. Here is your door number 1, Bum. I hope you like it. His prize was pressed gently into his hands. At first, Bum was confused. It felt like Sangwoo's arm, but cold and a little clammy. Bum's eyes flew open and he threw the mutilated arm onto the kitchen floor with a distraught wail. Hey! Sangwoo yanked Bum's head back with his hair. Did I tell you to open your eyes? You always fucking ruin everything. Serves me right for trying to be romantic with you. He released his hold and reached for the discarded arm. Bum didn't notice it before, but the hand was closed into a fist. Sangwoo placed the arm back on his lap and told him to open it up. Please, Sangwoo. I can't. I don't want to touch it anymore. You don't want to touch your own work? You act like it's going to bite you. Don't you want to know what's inside? Bum didn't know how to respond. Sangwoo heaved out a heavy sigh and got on his knees. Fine, we'll do it together, finger by finger. Sangwoo ignored Bum's protest as he pulled away the thumb and coerced Bum into opening the other fingers. When Bum saw what sat in the palm, he was confused. 2 golden bands tied together with a white ribbon sat in the Kalaus dead man's hands. Bum didn't move an inch as Sangwoo plucked the bands from the hand and untied the ribbon. He put the bigger band on his ring finger and the smaller band on Bum's. Bum's ring was a little loose, but he couldn't look away from how it sparkled in the kitchen's low light. Sangwoo intertwined their fingers. His eyes were bright as he studied the bands on their fingers. You know, the first day you came here, I thought you were disposable. Just another piece of trash that had to be taken care of or thrown away. Bum was a rapt listener to Sangwoo's next words. But I know that I can't live without you, Bum. I thought I was alone. I was alone, until you came along. I want to live the rest of my life together with you at my side. I know we already promised each other we'd be together forever, but these rings will be daily reminders that we belong to each other. No one and nothing will ever be able to change that. He kissed Bum softly. Your silence is killing me. What do you say? A tear slid down Bum's face. This is crazy. He probably made all this up as some sick trick. He looked at the blood-encrusted joined hands. But who will ever love me like this? No one. This may be the most love I'll ever get in my entire life. Bum pulled his hands from Sangwoo's, causing the other man's face to crumple in rejection. Bum flew forward and threw his arms around Sangwoo's neck. Yes! I say yes! Tears flowed freely down from Bum's face as Sangwoo lifted him out of his chair. Woo! You almost scared me for a second there, Bum. This feels amazing. You know what comes next, right? Bum shook his head. This marriage has to be consummated, or it isn't official. Can't have the baby be a bastard child after all, can we? Bum's heart was stuck in his throat as Sangwoo walked into the bedroom. He laid Bum gently on the bedding and began kissing him all over. Between crying tears of sadness and joy, Bum soon became dizzy at Sangwoo's incessant touch. Just as his head started spinning, Sangwoo pulled away. I almost forgot. Here. He threw the overall dress they had found the other day in his lap. Put this on. Think of it as your wedding dress or something. You look amazing in it. Bum played with the dress in his hands before deciding to put it on. He's gonna take it off soon anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I do wear it. Sangwoo growled as he pushed Bum back into the bedding. Ma, you look so good in this. Huh? What is it? Did you say? Sangwoo began nibbling on Bum's neck and kissed along his collarbone. What did I say? Bum grabbed at Sangwoo's shoulders and shuddered as he began teasing his nipples. Nothing. Bum lost all reasoning as Sangwoo passionately gave him pleasure he never dreamed of. The bedding was soiled with blood, sweat and semen. Both men struggled to catch their breath as they bathed in post-coital bliss. Bum especially was over the moon. I can't believe this actually happened. We're an actual couple and in love with each other. I'm so lucky. Sangwoo noticed his lover trembling. What's wrong, Bum? Are you in pain? Here, look at me. He lifted his chin and, unsurprised at the tears streaming down his face, began to wipe them away. Why are you crying, Bum? His only response was a choked sob. Sangwoo pulled him on top of his chest and brought his face close so he could kiss away the tears racing over his cheeks. Come on, Bum. What's wrong? Tell me, babe. Bum sobbed again and pulled out of Sangwoo's hold. I'm just so happy. I never thought that... Sangwoo pulled him back onto his chest. That you'd ever meet someone who'd love you and get married one day? Unable to speak through his tears, Bum nodded his head and began to sob in earnest. Sangwoo hushed him and stroked his hair gently. I'm never gonna leave you alone, Bum. We'll be together forever. It's okay now. So let it all out and don't worry about it again. Bum's declaration of love was muffled as he spoke past his snot and tears. Sangwoo responded in kind, which just made the smaller man sob harder. They laid unmoving in their bed of blood, sweat, tears and semen until Bum calmed down. Fighting sleep, Bum tried to initiate some pillow talk before he succumbed to his exhaustion. I can't wait for us to be a proper family when the baby gets here, but we've been so busy getting things together that we forgot one thing. Sangwoo frowned. What did we forget? We haven't talked about baby names at all. I have a good idea for a girl's name, but don't know what boy's name would be best. Don't worry about a girl's name. My firstborn will be a boy. Well, that is possible, but what if it's a girl? Shut up, Bum. It won't be. Come on, let's talk about good boy names.